Tech is the future. Riri, you can actually help people.
I know.
But she doesn't want to.
So, where's your arc reactor? That's like...
You know, they don't exactly hand those out.
Y'all calling me crazy when I've been balling all day like Brady.
When I got back from Wakanda, I felt stuck. To bring my ideas to life, I need cash.
Crazy, gotta go crazy. Hey.
Come work for me.
I assume these jobs aren't exactly legal.
Not exactly. So you in or out?
We Ocean's 11 or The Sopranos?
What's the difference?
What would you say if someone were to create AI using brain scanning technology? Oh my God, I'm literally perfection.
I would say only an idiot with a death wish would try that.
Cool.
Riri, you created something great. We're gonna need it.
No.
Now, you are just in my way.
It's Hood. It's from another dimension. If I'm gonna protect us, I need to start thinking outside the box. I think I have to fight magic with magic. Wait, what?
Might be a hero in there after all.
Did it say it deserves our attention?
Tech is the future.
It did say that.
It deserves our attention?
Literally says they're not handing out arc reactors. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave.
She could build a suit,
with a
but she
box
can't
of
build an arc.
scraps.
Here's the question I have. They brought it up in the clip here, but you know, are we The Sopranos? Or are we Ocean's 11? And I get the feeling that neither character cared what the answer was, and that makes me believe that, you know, is she a villain or is she a hero? I think the problem is the show skates that line when it really needed to choose a direction. And the question I have for you is, wouldn't the series been a whole lot better if they made her the villain and if they just leaned into the villain aspect of it?
I actually said that to somebody the other day. I would love for this series to end with her full on villain, and the villain that's showing up that I'm not going to spoil, even though it's already been spoiled all over the internet. Straight up, Dark Avengers. She becomes the leader of the Dark Avengers. She mirrors Tony Stark, except she's the opposite. She's like, oh, you know, I was handed everything, but never innovated on that. But now I've been given everything that I've ever wanted and didn't have to earn any of it. That's a great villain arc. I'd watch that. I would watch the shit out of a Dark Avengers full of a bunch of entitled people who mirror the characters in their world that they were supposed to be inspired by. I would love that. And instead they're like, no, she's a good person. She's a hero.
I find
that what Whiplash was, though?
Disney used to lean in. Disney has been leaning into that a lot, in the sense that you know, a lot of the films they've been producing didn't have a villain in it. And then the ones you did get, you know, obviously the Snow White, and I think, trying to remember, Wish had a villain in it. But it's just this, you know, where has the villain gone, and why do we not have them anymore?
No, we have them, Alan, but they're all white guys.
Yeah, and didn't like both of
the
those
villain has to be a white
destroy
guy. It can't be a
themselves?
black girl from the hood.
Yeah, didn't both of those villains, like from Wish and Snow White, they like destroyed themselves or something? Like the hero had nothing to do with their death.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, ironically, they had the same fate.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people now, the villains in a lot of stories now are circumstances and like power structures and power dynamics. You know, like the patriarchy is the villain. Really, the patriarchy was the bad guy the whole time.
Or a white guy, just a white guy.
You know, but he represents an entire system of things. It's like you can have interesting white guy villains too. Marvel had been doing it for years. Obadiah Stane was a white guy, but he was interesting. Like I like.
Yeah, but there are reasons why Obadiah Stane was a villain. Now you just have to be a white dude.
That's
like,
yeah.
I mean, Because you know what? Again, like you just said, Mike, it's about what it represents, right? Because it doesn't matter what they actually do. It's what they represent now.
Yeah.
So do you think they were in fear of backlash if they had made Riri a true villain?
Of course. Their first black Alan, their first black female lead, they make a villain. Come on.
Well, she's not even the first black female lead. We had Letitia Wright in Black Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, but she wasn't the lead, right? Like, I mean,
I would say she was in the absence of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
They also didn't have enough confidence in her than Riri Williams. Riri Williams is the star of this show, or supposed to be. She's the focus of the show, right?
Yeah.
Marvel. I don't want to say Marvel. The MCU has always had a problem with villains. They have. They even in the glory days of the MCU, they've never done villains totally the way they should. But we look past it because everything else is pretty good. We're at the point now where it doesn't even matter, right? I'm gonna tell you guys right now, one of the best villains they've had in recent times is the one you're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's the best villain that you're going to see from the MCU in a very long time, and they waste him on this show.
I was gonna say, and it's wasted.
No, really, they literally waste the. After seeing what we saw with this villain, I'm like, I'm like,
villain we thought we were going to get at the end of WandaVision, but the showrunner said, "I don't even know who that is,"
because the actor is so good. You're like, why did they waste him on this?
Look, let's not oversell it. It's because he acts good in the scene he's in that makes him great. Because
but it makes more of that guy. He conveys a lot in that just one small performance.
But that character has been wanted since Doctor Strange. Probably before that, people have been wanting to see this character in Marvel for a long time, and they've had ample opportunity to present him at a time that would have been really interesting and in better things, and they refuse to do that. Also, because they don't actually believe in these characters, and so now it's about saving what's left of the interesting characters they have in Marvel's universe to throw at something like this to say, cool, see, this character's in it. Isn't this what you guys always wanted? Isn't this what you guys have been clamoring for finally? And we gave it to you and you didn't even like the show, so what are we supposed to do now? Not knowing full well that they don't actually believe in that character or are interested in any of that, because that would require them to have to listen to fans, and they don't want to listen to fans. If they were listening to fans, we wouldn't have Riri Williams right now. There are plenty of other characters out there that could have been interesting. There are plenty of other black characters out there that could have been very interesting that we wanted to see. Why don't we have Blue Marvel yet? Dr. Why don't we have these characters? Yeah, none of it.
And then
completely dropped the ball on all of this.
And then go back to my original point. You can't walk that line between hero and villain, because it happens with Riri, and I think it happens with the Hood as well. It just feels like you need to choose one side or the other, and when you do, you get a dynamic character out of it.
Yep. It was funny because I for a brief moment argued on Twitter about this show with the guy that created Luke Cage, because he was trying to justify the show being good and saying people don't understand black characters. I'm like, you wrote a show that was infinitely better than this, with a very interesting character, Luke Cage, who realized that the power structures that these other black people were using and taking advantage of the poor people in your neighborhood, you had to fight them, and that the police couldn't do anything because those people had guns, and him being a bulletproof black man served as a great vehicle for him to be able to combat these people. And they had to deal with the fallout of that meant other people around him got hurt because other people weren't bulletproof. Fascinating idea. Maybe the end of Luke Cage wasn't super great, but also with season 2, there was a very interesting thing that happened, and I'm still bummed we never got it. Luke decides to become the villain of the story because he realized that, guess what? You know what? All of these other criminals and all of the other guys are going to do wrong, but guess what? They can come at me and I can take it because I'm bulletproof. And I love the idea. He was a great character.
It didn't matter that he was black. Like, I liked him for the way things he was saying. That's just how a man should be. Like, with that level of responsibility.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely good. But bro, I was fascinated. I wanted a Luke Cage season 3 after that twist at the end of season 2. I was like, this will be great. And Misty going, all right, well, I'm gonna have to be the one to stop you. And he goes, I wouldn't have it any other way. I want you to be the one that stops me. Now you set up a strong black female character fighting this other villain and stuff. Fascinating stuff. And instead they were like, what if the black girl had no problems except that she needed money. You know, and people try, like, people have the balls to be like, you just don't understand what it's like. I grew up poor and black. I grew up in like shitty, terrible neighborhoods with gang violence. I know what it's like. And you know what? I didn't grow up going, the only answer to this is money, and I'm going to ignore every opportunity ever given to me.
Same.
You know, like it's wild. Like that is indicative of really what these writers think about disenfranchised people. Well, poor black people just need money, and if they had money, all of their problems would be solved. I'm like, no, the fuck it wouldn't, because you know what? A lot of gangbangers and a lot of drug dealers have a shit ton of money and are still morally reprehensible people.
Yeah,
as proven in Ironheart, because they even said like, oh, I got all this money, but I'm still going to commit more crime.
More crime. And the thing is, like, and I said this, and I wasn't kidding. I have met gangbangers that have more morals than Riri Williams. Because you know what? They take care of their people. And that was their whole motivation, was taking care of their neighborhoods and getting ahead and helping the people out around them that needed help. They aren't helping anybody but themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with that. And I'll go a step further, Mike, because I remember, you know, when I grew up, you know, we had certain guys, you know, and it wasn't a lot of us back then, but, you know, they would get scholarships to college, right? And I grew up in the hood, and you see those guys, you know, kind of move on and go. And there was always this sense, even from the gangbangers, right, of good, he made it out, right? It was like almost like that feeling of good, he's out of here. You know what I mean? He'll have a chance, right? You don't get any of this kind of stuff watching these shows, man. And that's what pisses me off. They make it seem like being in the hood is a thing that we want to be, and we love being in the hood, and we love everything that goes along with it, right? I mean, we love the gang banging, the drug dealing, the stealing. I did none of that growing up. I knew many black guys like me who did none of that growing up, who grew up in the hood, right? But they never portray that stuff. They only want you to see the bullshit. And the thing that's most insulting for me about this is, not only does she get a scholarship, she gets a scholarship to one of the best schools in the fucking country, with grants giving her money constantly to screw up, right? Because she's constantly screwing up, still getting chance after chance. Girl's what, 18, 19 years old, maybe?
She's 19.
19. More opportunities than most people I knew growing up in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, and you tell me she couldn't have gotten a job from all the work she had done.
She wants to take the easy way.
It's insulting, man. That's the problem.
Yeah.
She could be making a 7-figure job easy and funneling all of that money back into her suit and building something better. But she refuses to do that because she doesn't want to work for anybody. She doesn't want any red tape. She doesn't want to have to earn anything.
Why are you making her small, Mike?
Why are you making me small? I'm like, earning 7 figures is not a small thing. What you're upset about is you don't like that other people have eyes on them. Tony Stark was famous, but you know what? Tony Stark wasn't just famous because he was Iron Man. It's what he did as Iron Man. Because for a while he was infamous. He had a bad reputation because he was doing wrong. He wasn't doing right by the suit. If you watch Iron Man 2 and 3, he's getting called out for his behavior. He felt he was untouchable, all of that stuff. And then in Iron Man 3, he has to get brought low again after saving New York City and all this, to be reminded, it's not about the suit, Tony. It's about you and what you're going to do. Tony makes terrible decisions in Age of Ultron. He makes a call that he shouldn't have made without anybody else's help, and they reprimand him for it and tell you, Tony, you can't just do this by yourself. And she's looking at, well, he had a suit and he had billions of dollars, and that made him iconic, and that was awesome. Ignoring the fact that without him and without his suit and without him putting his life on the line numerous times, we'd all be dead.
They don't mention any of Tony Stark's heroics in Ironheart. Like in the first 3 episodes, the episodes that I've watched, they don't mention any of that. He is relegated to just being a billionaire.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yep.
Everything else lists script. It does not matter.
She lists off all these people who she's better than, you know, the Stark.
Yeah.
The only one, the only person she didn't say she was better than was Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Because who is?
I know exactly.
Because when they ask her, when they ask like, why aren't you working for Stark Industries? They even call him like that Tony guy, you know, as if he didn't save everybody in the universe. Like,
multiple times.
He's just that Tony guy.
You know, snap back your friends.
He says is that he's contributed immensely to the field. Like that's her
why
idea
we'll throw shade at him, because he contributed. Yeah, I'm like, you mean immensely?
They don't mention any of his heroics, and they have to do that They have to do that in this because, you know, how do you break down the character of Tony Stark? How on earth? He literally saved the entire universe. How do you break down that character in order to build this one up? Oh, we just strip everything, all of his heroics. He's just a billionaire in this show. Like that's it. So Tony Stark is just a billionaire. All that matters about Tony Stark is that he has money and Riri has none.
I mean, even if you take the black out of this, right? Let's just take the black out for a minute.
Yep.
Okay. There's this mentality, and I guess it's the Gen Zers or the Gen Alphas. I don't know. I can't keep up with them anymore. The youngins, right? There's this mentality of not having to earn it, right? I think it's kind of common now where this generation feels like it's not about earning it. It should be given to them. And maybe the show speaks to them. Maybe the show is for them, those who believe that same way, right? So
are you saying this was the experience of the writers?
Well, yes, right. I mean, but here's the thing. But they are speaking to this generation because the generation does believe in not working. They hate having jobs. Like we've all seen that. They all feel like they're entitled to more, right? They want to have break rooms that are converted into sex rooms. I don't know if you heard about that recently.
That's productivity,
among other things, right? Like they want to.
Well, at least somebody wants to have sex.
Yeah, that's true. they want it to be cush, right? And maybe this show speaks to those kind of people.
And that speaks on what Robert was saying earlier about how the writers don't know how to write a hero's journey because that requires work on the hero's part.
It requires self-reflection.
It requires work, self-reflection, all of these going through all of these hard things. And they don't know how to write that anymore because in their viewpoint, they should just be given everything. You know, they should just demand everything and they be given it. There's no work going into anything. And that's literally how Riri Williams thinks. If I'm able to do this by finessing things away from people, she's good. She's a thief, right? She's a thief. She's going to just take what she needs and give nothing back. Then she will be able to be greater than all of those people. Tony Stark, Gates, Pym, all of those people. She'll be able to be greater than all of them without actually doing the work that they put into in order to be at that high status without putting any work. She's just going to take everything and give nothing back.
Musk was literally in the second Iron Man. Why didn't they list him?
Here's the thing. The goal of the Hood, he would go into these mansions of rich people, confront them, and then make them sign contracts. And then I get it. There's a theme there that extends to the end of the show, but the idea that he's going to get what he wants if only he can get the millionaire to sign the contract to give him half of his wealth. Apparently, there was no superhero or sidekick named the Notary next to him doing this. But that's to me, that's it's when you talk about people who don't understand the world and the idea that you can. The signing contracts under duress is somewhat illegal, and it can actually avoid your contract. And my point in all this is we have writers who just don't understand how the world works, and they just build the world around it.
He was like, make our crew a part of staff with benefits and everything. I'm thinking, what? With benefits? What are you talking? Like, I literally just thought that they were going to steal. Not, I want them to be on payroll. We're just going to be an anonymous, investor or whatever. Like, give us half of whatever. You can't do that. You can't have benefits and be anonymous.
Yeah.
No.
Could you imagine how interesting it would have been in that moment where she goes, this contract means absolutely nothing. I'm just going to void it. Like, I could just void this right now. Nobody's going to trust you. And he goes, it doesn't matter. Sign anyways. And now you go, oh, there's something else going on with this.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing? Okay, you have other motivation. It would have been even fascinating to find out that, or hint at, that this leader, not just that there's something weird with his hood, but that he's just gathering this group of kids to do his bidding because he has ulterior motives. And he's using them because he's the real villain. And these kids are just wrapped up in the idea of having a lavish lifestyle and having a ton of money and not thinking about the consequences of that. But that's not even what's set up there. Like, because that would require knowing how to write nuance and have subtlety in things instead of blaming Tony Stark for why Riri can't get ahead in life, Well,
another thing too is, how did Riri Williams get all the knowledge that she has? She's written as a genius from the get. Right. Yeah. So it's like no one is born a genius. You might be born a prodigy, but you still have to learn.
Black
you know,
Girl
to
Magic.
learn everything that she knows. I mean, she knows everything from manufacturing, you know, welding, soldering, creating, working with metals, also electronics and AI. What she knows would require, even if you were the smartest person in the world and had a 200 IQ, would require a lot of work.
Yes.
And so but none of that, you have a character now that just is that way.
Right.
Yeah.
You're forgetting the storytelling axiom known as "because I said so."
Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, this is important because somebody who has that kind of knowledge, that you have to have a broad base of knowledge, would know probably more about history or philosophy or something else. It's almost like, okay, we've created this brilliant character, but she only knows these things that allow her to build armor.
Yeah.
But nobody who's intelligent just knows about one thing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got, and where did she learn all this in the first place?
Yeah.
And Rob, and that's the problem with writing someone that young being that brilliant, right? Because
Yes.
Tony Stark, there's a believability where this guy is what, in his 40s, like, you know, he's late 30s, I don't know, Marvel time. But either way, he's had time to learn. He's had time to go to the best schools, learn all the things on top of being a genius, right? And his father is a genius.
Right.
So
from the time he was probably a little kid, he was learning all this.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark has a well-rounded, I mean, he had that kind of an education. And I think that's what people want to believe they are these days. They want to believe they're Riri Williams, but yet you ask them to actually do something. That's why AI is going to be so popular with younger filmmakers and all these people, because they don't actually, AI will allow filmmakers to just come up with actually AI will come up with the stories too, but they're going to be so enamored of the fact that they've created an image when they've really not created an image at all. You have all the work that hundreds and hundreds of years of human development will have given generative AI, and now people just have to type a prompt and get back all of that human knowledge wrapped up in whatever you're going to get. And that's the world that we're going to live in. I'm a great prompter. I deserve to be a billionaire.